whole thing of people talking about people won't pay that much. People are paying that much. They just don't know it until afterward.
Yes.
When they get denials or when they realize that their deductible hasn't been met. So they get more than a $2,000 bill afterward.
Yeah.
And to me, it's highway robbery, in my opinion, of people not knowing what they're paying for or even what they're paying for the services they're getting until they get a bill afterward. And they can't argue it afterward. No. And it's so unethical to me that people get these $3,000, $4,000, $6,000 bills after they've received care.
I would love to see copies of those. I would love to see that because, on my side of the game, it's not a winning conversation to tell Mrs. Jones, look, you go somewhere else, it's going to cost you $6,000. Here it's just $2,000. Like, they're going to be like, no. They're going to take my insurance. I'm going to go there anyways.
And with pelvic floor, you have to play a huge game for diagnosis codes because almost no insurance company covers conditions like urinary incontinence, dyspareunia, constipation. So you have to try and play the game of using a generic diagnosis code to try to get their insurance to cover it. But the insurance companies won't tell you what they cover, what diagnosis codes. And so you're constantly playing this game. I had 5 patients over the course of 5 years bring me their denial with a $4,000+ bill attached. And I couldn't do anything about after the fact. And they were upset with me. And that was one of the biggest things that I said, I can't do this anymore, is because people aren't even getting what they think they're paying for.
Right. Over $4,000 bill.
For 1 to 2 visits.
Wow.
Because U of M charges $400 a unit. So if you get a denial, 2 visits would be $3,200. And they pass that bill along to the patient, and you can't negotiate, your in-network costs. You just have to pay the bill.
Jesus
I wish
Christ.
I could get copies of those, from patients, because I remember I lost sleep over these patients. I remember their names, their diagnosis codes, what I treated them for, because I felt awful that they were, you know what I mean? Like I would have a heart attack if I got a $4,000 bill.
Yeah, like if that doesn't get people to understand that charging someone $150 to $250 a visit is like completely ethical, like I don't know what would. I mean, and that's one of my struggles with people. Think they're still charging $75 a visit, and I'm just like, come on.
Yeah.
You got to get up from there.
One thing I hear a lot about people struggling, and I'm not in the same situation, so it's hard for me. You know what I mean? Like, I can say what you should charge. I don't do the same thing. I mean, I charge $250 an hour, and that was difficult to say as a consultant for, one of my potential clients. But after I said it, they were like, okay, because they got the value. But people say, well, I can't afford myself, so why should I be charging other people? And it's like, if you needed this, you don't need this right now. So you don't even understand the value that you're providing. If you needed what you're providing, you would figure out a way, like I think we're so close to it that we often forget what we really provide as value to consumers in terms of an outcome of not just, increased range of motion or decreased pain, but a huge opportunity to improve quality of life and their participation in their life. And I saw that as a pelvic floor therapist. I really comprehended that. Is people were isolated to their homes because of fecal incontinence.
Right. They
stopped participating in family events and church events and community events. And they had a huge loss of empowerment, mobility, independence. And to be able to provide that without surgery, with that, because surgery comes with, there's a lot of failure rates. Up to 50% of pelvic floor surgeries fail. Wow. And people have worse issues afterward. Is like, we don't even understand what we're really providing to people because we're not taught to think that way.